Hi, it's Joan. Thank you for watching House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 3, The Burning Mill. I am stressed, but excited for this episode. Reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon. Disclaimer, please don't hate anybody for their opinions about any of these characters, and let's go.
Babe killer. What did you say?
Oof.
Your false Queen Rhaenyra is a kinslayer.
I love that we're seeing how this falls. I mean, these are sort of nobly people, but...
Did he? Aegon Targaryen is no...
I love that we're seeing how it ripples across the whole kingdom.
Just as you are no...
I know that this will end in bloodshed. These people already had disputes, but...
You wouldn't dare.
This is a different battle, right? We've come forward in time from that dispute. Or did their dispute become a full-on battle? Because that was just a group of lads. This is a war.
What of those who sent him?
I mean, they think we sent someone to kill a kid. And someone else they did. Just keep the cycle up. Our turn next.
There may be another way.
What's your thought pattern here?
Alicent Hightower. What she did is not her, but the men around her who seek bloodshed.
She permitted it.
She has no power.
As you permitted the murder of a little boy in his bed.
I don't know that Alicent would have the power to stop the war either, even if she wanted to.
First blood in our name.
Both sides took heavy losses, Your Grace.
What are we going to do about it?
You don't even understand what war is yet, child. This is when the hand would offer something.
Lord Tully.
Harrenhal is the key to the Riverlands. I will ride out with those I can muster here, men I know, men I've trained.
You need
You're the
time to
hand.
raise the numbers to challenge the Rivermen.
What will you do if you encounter one or more of Rhaenyra's dragons? She'll want to answer for Sir Aric.
We will be more like to encounter one if we field one of our own.
That is precisely why you must remain, brother. It's a brave thought, but we cannot risk your loss.
He knows how to control Aegon. Sweet talking round. Smooth talking
I'm
round.
as fearsome as any of them.
You're also the king, yeah. You're so fearsome, but you're the king. We just can't risk you.
Only one of you has shown yourself to be merciful.
We hope you do not confuse mercy with pliancy.
Admittedly, Aegon did try to give back some sheep one time.
Are they always like this? Maybe he's lonely.
She's like, I would like to claim that dragon.
It breaks my heart to send my boys away, not knowing when I will see them again. But you have seen what may befall them here. Rhaena,
You've got to protect the babies.
I need you to be the mother to them that I cannot.
She's a baby herself.
Teach them, train them.
I'm claiming Harrenhal.
Apparently so. Larys Clubfoot is no lord of mine. He's a scourge upon this castle and this family.
Maybe if you didn't call him Larys Clubfoot, he
Do you not
wouldn't
think
have
it's
been such a dick.
strange that his father...
May I present my brother, Sir
Cut
Gawain
his
Hightower?
hair.
Arrived last night from Eltown.
And by a man from such modest beginnings.
Well, that's not the problem. It's his incompetence that's the problem.
Pitying sent, the gods.
How fares Prince Daemon with our army?
Working on it.
No word from Prince Daemon.
And burn those who resist.
No. If dragons begin fighting dragons, we invite our own destruction.
About secreting yourself somewhere safe.
You're
While
a
we
little
remain
woman.
here as...
Rhaena, Lord of the Tides.
She's a
The girl
girl.
knows nothing of ships, nor even of dragons.
There is Rhaena or there is Joffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Both soon to be far from the creak of ships and the...
I have much to attend to.
Men.
These eggs are even more fragile. They're our hope for the future.
Are 3 of those the ones that
Your
Dany
Grace.
gets? Is that how they end up across the sea? Those eggs. It's the safest course of action. I would also be terrified and not want to go, but it's important that you do. I thought she was going to claim the dragon. It's good to see your smile.
People die all the time, especially babes.
She's definitely
They're so
neurodivergent in
little,
our
so they're taken
understanding of
so
the world.
easily.
Okay.
That horrid procession where the small folk were. I forgive you.
What?
I said that I forgive you.
Suits you, Your Grace.
Helena is too pure for this
Valyrian
world.
steel.
This world,
Worth more
literally.
than a castle.
I shall wear his armor to war. I fly to meet Sir Criston.
No one wants you to.
Small in position to fly to war with Sir Criston, so the Queen Alicent may reign in his absence.
He goes wherever he senses
Prince
the
Aemon
power.
at her side.
Oh, that's the
No
girl
sense
Aegon
of
raped.
some of them.
For you, man.
I'm the son of Balon the Brave, bastard brother to Prince Daemon and the late King Viserys Targaryen.
He might well
The
be.
blood of the dragon.
Sit down.
Is he just telling a tall tale? But he also could very easily be a bastard. Aegon has hundreds, right? He's gonna snap and kill Aegon at some point.
Such is the...
He was seen vulnerable. She's just scouting, right? Were they going under the... Was the army travelling through the forest so she wouldn't spot it? That's why they have no sighting, but now she spotted them. She could have killed you if she wanted to. She was very much in Dracarius rage.
And no fucking inns.
You're a nincompoop, Kristen. You can't really
Sir
talk.
Criston Cole.
Call upon a dragon of his own.
This is why you must act now, Your Grace.
No one wants to be the first
out and burn him.
to use the dragon. Who will be the first? Because it's going to happen. It's the Dance of Dragons, after all. Well, you'd knock if you didn't mean harm, surely, right? Or is it the ghosts of Harrenhal?
And I have to clean up afterwards.
Oh my god. Harrenhal is indeed a cursed place.
You will die in this place.
Nice to meet you too.
If war can be averted, it is my duty to avert it.
I don't think Alicent has the
I have
power,
reason
even
to
if she
believe may
wants
be of the same
to.
opinion. I must see her face to face.
Oh my goodness. Is this actually happening? Because if Alicent says, God, Rhaenyra, the usurper is here. Like, I'm sure someone would catch her before Rhaenyra could run, if she manages to find it. Jesus Christ, the literal queen. The usurper of the babe killer, whatever they call her. She's here. This was not on my bingo card. This is actually happening. Like when they were girls.
No, no.
Yeah, that's how. Oh.
I must speak with you.
This is actually happening.
Oh, I have begun badly.
This is insanity, and I am here for it.
But you, I know you do not have that desire within you.
I don't think Alicent has the power to stop anything, even if she gets through to her. This is insanity, and I'm loving every second of this conversation. I'm just staring blankly at them because...
Have you now stooped so low that you will countenance the suffering and death of thousands in order that your feckless son
Your
sits
father changed his mind.
at the throne? A right he upheld
steadfastly.
And you should
every
have
day of
done
his life
better
after
by
my mother
being
died.
with him.
When was your plan first laid? Was your ambition so keen?
He changed his mind, Rhaenyra.
The Hightowers, the
mind.
Greens had a plan. Alicent did not.
I swear this to you, on the memory of my mother.
She believes this.
What did he say at the end?
She'll understand. I mean, Rhaenyra will understand the truth.
Speak my name?
The prince was promised.
He said he was the prince that was promised to unite the realm.
What?
I desire peace as you do, but if it's ever
Did my father use those words? Did he?
Alicent
Yes,
did
he
not have
did.
anything else. Rhaenyra now knows her father did not change his mind. She didn't understand, but she thought she did.
He once told. About Aegon the Conqueror.
The Conqueror.
What else was Alicent supposed to think it meant at the end? I mean, the Green Council would have done all this without her anyway. They would have just sent people to go murder Rhaenyra. This
You
would have
must go
happened
before you are discovered.
without
There's been a
Alicent's
mistake, there's been no mistake.
misunderstanding.
Please, you can prevent this, Alicent.
Otto and the Council would have done this
Terrible words,
regardless.
Lorraine. And even victory may be so bloody as to be counted a loss.
Do not let your pride blind you.
There's
to the
been
blood.
no mistake.
Alicent. Though,
My father has gone from court. It's too late, Rhaenyra.
Alicent.
I mean, as much like I get Alicent not wanting to admit to a mistake, and I think like it will haunt her the day and night that maybe that's what he did mean. He didn't mean this, but at the same time, like she doesn't have the power to stop anything. Even if she were to stand up and say, "I was wrong," Viserys did not want Aegon to be king. It wouldn't change the wheels that are in motion at this point. The only thing that would at this point is one of the two sides surrendering, and Aegon is not going to do that because he's a wanker. So the only person that could surrender is Rhaenyra, and she's not going to do that. I'm so thankful they had that moment of talking with each other, given how important they were to each other. Of just two women in this impossible circumstance talking, but unless Rhaenyra surrenders, Alicent can do nothing. And why should would be the better queen? Okay, so the most significant part of that conversation for Rhaenyra is definitely that it would have been plaguing her mind. As much as she believed and knew her father supported her claim to the throne, even though he had a shit way of showing it, because he literally did nothing beyond the initial oath to make sure people upheld it. But anyway, even though she knew he did support her, she might have been in her doubt, thinking, could it be true? And when Alicent was saying quite rightfully that, like, I haven't lied about anything, like, I've been a bit of a bitch, but I haven't lied. It began to, maybe he did on his deathbed say he wanted Aegon, oh my god. And you could see her starting to reevaluate everything. Maybe her father truly had chosen somebody else. And then the moment Alicent says, oh, it was Aegon the prince who was promised, she's like, oh, thank god he wasn't even talking about that, thank god. You know, there was that moment for her of that doubt and then getting the faith reaffirmed. But for me, it was just seeing these two pivotal women who were once so close. They sat in those exact positions in that exact same spot after their mothers died. Like, to see them talking, both saying they had nothing to do with the awful thing that happened to the other one, talking of just talking to each other. You know, after the initial moment of the knife to stop Alicent screaming, there was no threatening each other, there was nothing. Alicent is walking out of the sept, and she's just going to leave. And she's no longer in danger from Rhaenyra. She could very easily say, oh, by the way, Rhaenyra's in there, and go and get her captured. Like, it would be very easy for her to do that. It wouldn't end the war, but it would, like, because there are other claimants on Rhaenyra's side. But she could do that, but she's not going to, because she doesn't want to see Rhaenyra dead. It just really exemplifies, I think, what a senseless waste all of this is. And that's something I think this show has been doing a brilliant job of this season, is we are gearing up to the war, but it is not shying away from the utter pointlessness of it all. The utter how many lives will be destroyed, irrevocably changed and ruined over something that is nonsense, and how that is history. You know, I love medieval history, I love reading these stories, but when you stop and let yourself think about the damage that was done over nothing, over who gets to sit on a throne, it is devastating. I think the show is doing a brilliant job of showing that. As much as, you know, I was thrilled at the concept of Rhaenyra and Alicent speaking, and in a lot of ways it was everything I wanted and more, I still feel like at this point, it's too late and there's nothing Alicent could do. even, to be honest, if with Otto there, if Alicent had changed her mind, no one listens to her. They listen to her and they do take her counsel, but at the end of the day, if what she suggests isn't what they want to do, they don't do it, and they do it her way anyway. She had a very brief window with Aegon where he did listen to her, and that has already passed. So as much as I do think Alicent doesn't want war, and as much as I do think a lot of sensible people don't want war, the ones in power all do. And the only way Rhaenyra could possibly stop this war from continuing would be by surrendering. That is literally the only thing she can do to ensure there is no further bloodshed and none of the awful things she's saying come to pass, is surrender, is decide that her right to the throne is worth less than thousands of lives. And she's not going to do that. Which again, is because she's not a perfect saintly person. She is a human person, and I love her dearly. You know, I would love her. I think she would be a wonderful queen. Aegon is not going to do it. You know, I don't know what Alicent could possibly have agreed to in that conversation, what terms there were, other than Rhaenyra's surrender. That is the only thing that there is any power, and Alicent could use her influence to try and say, well, she has surrendered, and try and get her a beneficial, like, terms, etc. But I didn't like the fact that Rhaenyra eventually read the letter, and what she read in it was enough to make her want to go and meet with Alicent. And, you know, they didn't hug and say, we're besties now, I'll love you forever, because that's not where they are, and it's never, you know, it's been almost like 30 years, okay, 20 odd years since they were ever going to be able to be like that. But I think there was a real understanding. I think Rhaenyra was able to understand that Alicent did believe that her husband had said she wanted Aegon to be king. Like, she understands now that Alicent made a mistake, and the ridiculous of that fact is ridiculous, but it's also extremely important to remember that even had Alicent walked into that first council meeting after Viserys died, and then she would have said, we must get word to Rhaenyra, and they would have said about that. You know, I don't think Alicent didn't have the almighty power to sway the minds of these men, especially once the king was dead. They wanted Otto Hightower, the hand of the king, and every single person at that council table, apart from the one old man who got his head smooshed, wanted Aegon to be king. And as Alicent discovered in that meeting, they had been planning it for forever, because Viserys and Rhaenyra was stupid and didn't handle things well at all in the build up to this. They just relied on their privilege, and obviously it's all going to happen how you want it to. And have you met Otto Hightower? I think had Alicent not had the misunderstanding, she may well have stood more firmly against it. She may well have even said, no, if we go down this path, of course Rhaenyra will kill my children, but if we don't, then there is no peace. We're not protesting against her. Why would she kill them if she gets the throne? Like, I do think the Alicent before she heard those words would have been much harder to persuade to go against Rhaenyra and go against what she believed was right, because other than her little affair with Criston Cole, she has always done what she believes is the right thing. And obviously there have been times where that's not true. Some have had things where she works with Varys, like when he did kill the people, but she could justify that in her mind as, well, the people he killed there, they were bad for this reason. And, you know, it was necessary for the justice of the realm, which is the exact kind of rhetoric her father has pushed into her. The exact same rhetoric used by powerful men all over the place, and they don't get given the same kind of scrutiny that Alicent does. If anything, she had more of a justification for that than Daemon did for killing a random man and shoving him in a fire. But she didn't have any justification for that. Like, obviously she has not always been faultless. There have been things she has done, but largely the things she does that are wrong are because she finds herself in a position because of other people. When it comes to her having free reign to make whatever choice she wants, she does do what she thinks is right the best she can. And I think, to be honest, seeing that poor girl who was raped, she probably did look at her and think, well, yeah, I get, like, raped regularly. Like, it sucks and I'm sorry, but take your tea and take some money and get out of here. Like, I don't know what else in those times would have been done for that woman. We couldn't have arrested Aegon as much as we'd like to. And seeing her in the tavern again was crazy. Alicent is not perfect, but she does try to do the right thing. Doesn't always do it, but she tries. And so for Rhaenyra to kind of get that realization of this mistake has made it worse, Alicent would have been a blockage in the road. She would have been a voice speaking against it. But we've seen how easily men dismiss the voices of women. And once the king was dead, Alicent had no real power unless Aegon, who the one they were trying to make king, said, actually, no, I'm listening to my mother. But then if they listened to the mother, he wouldn't be king. And we've seen how much he doesn't like Rhaenyra, so he would want to be king. I mean, actually, no, he didn't want to be king. Maybe none of it would have happened because he was running away. That's fair, actually. Maybe none of it would have happened, but regardless, the Hightowers always had this plan in motion, and it was Otto who ultimately figured out where he was going to be, and all of those things that happened. At the end of the day, this still would have happened because Viserys did not do a good enough job of making sure the path to Rhaenyra's succession was smooth, and making sure that people actually did support it, and making sure that the man he had closest to the throne was not going to be scheming for a different candidate. Men. Joking aside, I think it was very important for me to see these two characters, these two women who were once so important to each other, who have been at odds for such a very long time, had that brief moment of peace at the dinner where Alicent did say, I think she would be a good queen, and Rhaenyra had said, I think, I thank you for loving my father and taking care of him, and they had that moment where she was like, fly safe. Things... There is that mutual love and that mutual not wanting to do the worst to the other person. The best move in terms of ruthless Game of Thrones move, not a move I approve of, for the Greens, once Viserys dies, would have been to send a squadron of assassins to wipe out Rhaenyra's bloodline. Alicent didn't want that because she cares about her and she cares about doing the right thing as much as she messes up a lot of the time. I'm just rambling in circles. I feel like it was such a pivotal moment, but it was also a real moment of acknowledging there is no other course of action at this point. But I still maintain that I don't think at any point Alicent could have outright turned the tide. Maybe if she had not, if when Aegon was found, she had been saying to him, you don't have to become king, it's your sister's throne, and he still didn't want it, maybe there would have been a time where things could have happened differently, but the men were always going to want this, and they were always going to angle for this. But I think it was incredibly important for these two characters to have that moment of talking to each other. That moment that I feel like you could see both of them still have a care for each other. They have a memory of when things were better between them, and a sadness for what the other has been through, and also anger and betrayal at the other one for slights that they have perceived have happened, slights that have happened, and it is just a huge mess, and war is now completely inevitable. But I think we've passed that point a while back, unless Rhaenyra surrenders. And realistically now, if she means what she said, she should surrender. If she truly wants to avoid the bloodshed, she should surrender. Yes, Aegon would be a shit king, but there wouldn't be a civil war. And we can hope that whoever his heir is would be better. That's kind of the gamble you take. There have been bad Targaryen kings and good Targaryen kings. Obviously, Rhaenyra is not going to surrender because her wish for peace only goes so far. But I think it's very sad to see the kind of inevitability of this coming to play between these two women, but there's still lingering mutual affection and love that they do have for each other. Aegon is just still a dick. Like, one time, he promised a man some money but didn't actually give it to him, I believe. And one time, he was really excited to give someone back his goat sheep. Other than that, he's been a dick. The moment when Helena said that she forgave her mother, that was very, very emotional, because Helena does not view and approach the world the same way we do. She's not as easy to talk to or to completely understand what she's saying, why she's saying it, whether she understands you isn't always obvious. And again, in that moment, it was unclear to me as to whether she forgave Alicent for being with Kristen Cole, which again, I don't think caused the child's death in any way, shape or form, or whether she meant she forgave Alicent for all of the things that have happened. But I really felt like that was a moment of two women who've been placed in impossible circumstances by others. One of them helped in placing the other one in the impossible circumstance, but even so, that moment of forgiveness will mean a lot for Alicent going forward. Helena is her one good thing. The one good child she has. All the rest of it, it is just such a huge mess. So they've got an army marching off to Harrenhal that the Blacks are now aware of, and I assume they'll send a message to Daemon. Daemon is having Godswood visions of young Rhaenyra, which is freaking creepy. Okay, at least picture your wife the way she is now, and not the little girl you did seduce. I mean, it was very exciting to see young Rhaenyra again, but please, Daemon, stop pedoing. You have an adult wife. That was fascinating, and obviously we know that visions and the old gods and stuff, like religion and like the mysticalness of it all, is very real in Westeros, so that was fascinating. And then the woman saying, you're going to die here. And I'm like soon? Like, is he going to die soon? Which, like, the part of me that hates Daemon as a human, the part of me that loves him as a character and what he brings to the show, like, what? I mean, this is the world of Westeros. No one is safe. So that was chilling. And was she like a daughter of the Strongs? Is she a little bit Warg-esque? I don't know, but it was very interesting to see. And to see Daemon rattled. In this place, he has been rattled. Nothing is nothing is going how he wanted it to. And I think maybe he even thought he would be more prepared for Rhaenyra to be queen one day, that he would be prepared to just be at her side. And now that it's actually happening, he's like, man, I'm throwing my toys out of the pram. I want what I want. So we will see. He is at Harrenhal with a dragon. They are riding there without a dragon. What is going to happen next? I assume the first battle will soon start. Everyone is raring to go. The young are raring to go. Those who understand what war actually will mean are not. So many things. I'm just like, you know, like, so much happens in these episodes. I have watched the first 3 back to back, so that's partly it. But just they pack so much in, and I don't know if I've analysed even half of it. I loved Rhaenyra choosing to go and try and make peace with Alicent. I love Rhaenyra I just love Rhaenyra in general. I think she's not perfect, and I point that out not because I feel like, oh, I hate her. I love her. I point out Rhaenyra's flaws when they happen. She's a brilliant character. She doesn't have as many of the others. Simply because I feel like there are characters, Alicent, who, if they breathe in the wrong direction, there will be 1,000 memes about the fact that she's evil and horrible because she breathed in that direction. When Rhaenyra does something that's a little bit shitty, it's, oh my god, gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. And like, if you're doing that with like a bit of a smile on your face and like, yeah, I know, I'm team black, it's fine. But I just personally, I'm like pointing out both sides are flawed. But Rhaenyra's flaws are less than. Perhaps her biggest is that she is going to insist on her claim to the throne so that and let thousands of people die, being fully aware of the cost of that. Because yes, there is at this point, I don't know, could she surrender peacefully? But if she did surrender, I don't even know entirely what that would look like. Like probably some kind of proclamation that either barred her line from the throne or put her line behind Aegon, Aemond and Daeron's, because he exists. Just so much in every direction. Like, really, if we're talking about the right thing to do at this point, the only option is for Rhaenyra to surrender. And that isn't because I want Aegon to be king, it's because it's the only way to avoid bloodshed at this point. Aegon is not going to surrender. The little prick. Either that or we assassinate Aegon, but I don't think you can ask Alicent to do that. Honestly, the women in this show are everything to me, and I love that they are giving them this pivotal role because like I think Alicent in particular doesn't do as much in the book as maybe this Alicent does or has done. I don't know. Again, I don't like looking at accurate spoiler. I just hear brief snippets or read something before I realise it's talking about the book and look away. But throughout history, women's lives are not recorded that as much as the men's, and that doesn't mean they never did anything, that behind the scenes they weren't having power moves and doing things. It just means it wasn't chronicled. So I think it's important to see these fully fleshed out women, and we can see women like Alicent, who in the chronicle wouldn't be up to all that much right now because she's not, but she's doing her best and she's trying to pull those strings, and she just had a pivotal meeting that no one will ever know about. Absolutely 10 out of 10 fantastic. I adore this show. I've been talking about this show for going on 5 hours now, so I probably should stop. I feel like I definitely missed some points to analyze, and I'm really sorry about that. Hopefully I did analyze them along the way. I am terrified of where this show is going, but it's like the good kind of terrifying because you know none of it's real. But yeah, no one is going to have a happy ending. Everything's going to end terribly. It's exactly what Rhaenyra said. This is the kind of civil war, or the kind of war that even winning is not really a victory. And that is exactly what is happening. And this show is doing such a brilliant job of showing us that before the war had even truly started. Just fantastic. Every character feels real and three-dimensional, and flawed in different ways. Cannot wait for next week. Reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.